Updated March 1, 2019, 14 hours, 23 minutes and 25 seconds. The NRL has handed out punishments to 5 clubs for off-field incidents, warning it cannot afford to have an off-season like the current one ever again. Key points. The NRL has announced sanctions against clubs, coaches and players over salary cap breaches and off-field issues. Manly centre Dylan Walker has been stood down until the end of court proceedings over an assault charge. Cronulla has been fined a total of $1.25 million, $500,000 suspended, over the salary cap, and former coach Shane Flanagan. The crackdown has reached a tipping point, with the league sanctioning the Cronulla Sharks, Wests Tigers, Manly, Canterbury Bulldogs and North Queensland Cowboys. Our biggest competitor is us. Rugby league players need a different attitude to in the past, said NRL Chief Executive Todd Greenberg. We cannot afford to ever have an off-season like this again. The Dragons' Jack de Belin was stood down on Thursday under the sport's new no-fault, stand-down policy, and now the NRL has taken similar action against Dylan Walker. The Manly centre is charged with common assault of his fiancée last December. He will be sidelined until the charges are dealt with in court. Matters of violence against women will be treated very seriously, said Greenberg. The NRL boss said if the 24-year-old is found guilty, he could be deregistered, but will otherwise be welcomed back to the game. Walker's fiancée Alex Ivkovic has given evidence that last December her partner yanked her hair in front of neighbors while she was carrying their infant after an argument. However, Ms. Ivkovic later changed her testimony from her account to police, saying she felt like she overreacted, and that Walker had grabbed her shoulder, not her hair. Walker will next appear in court in May. Greenberg emphasized that the stand-down was issued under the new no-fault provisions. The NRL stresses that we are making no judgment on his guilt or innocence. That is a matter for the courts, Greenberg said. Big fines for Sharks over Flanagan, salary cap. Greenberg used his press conference to also announce a series of decisions from the NRL regarding issues facing players, coaches and clubs. Cronulla's finances will be stretched for the coming 2 seasons, with $1.25 million in fines announced. Former coach Shane Flanagan has had his registration cancelled for breaching his suspension in 2014 over the peptides saga. The club had already been fined $800,000, but that has been reduced to $500,000 as the club has acknowledged its faults. Incoming Chief Executive Barry Russell self-reported salary cap breaches last year dating back to before his tenure. The Integrity Unit has found salary cap breaches dated back to 2013, a far wider problem than what was previously understood to be just for the 2015 and 2017 seasons. The club has been handed a $750,000 fine, but that has been reduced to $250,000, with $500,000 suspended. Those people are no longer at the club or in the game, so we are unable to make further breaches, said Greenberg, but this was a deliberate orchestrated plan to set up a company for third-party player agreements. A $707,000 sanction has also been imposed on the club's salary cap over the next 2 seasons. The NRL has reduced the fine for Wests Tigers for covering up an ambassador deal with Robbie Farah. The penalty has been cut in half to $375,000. However, on top of this, the Tigers have been handed a $639,000 fine, covering the value of the Farah agreement, which has been spread over the next 2 seasons. The club's chief executive Justin Pascoe is still being stood down for his involvement, but he will be able to resume the role on June 19 this year. The Tigers' Zane Musgrave won't be registered to play, despite a plea from the club, as he is facing indecent assault charges. Napa fined 10% of salary over lewd videos. Canterbury prop Dylan Napa has been sanctioned after several lewd videos of him from years ago were published on social media. However, Napa, who moved from the Sydney Roosters at the end of last season, will not miss any games. Instead, he has been fined 10% of his salary this year. I am frustrated by the stupidity, it's idiotic, but leniency has come from the amount of time that's passed, said Todd Greenberg. Senior players are embarrassed by the events that have happened, whether juvenile or criminal. It puts a stain on the game. North Queensland Cowboys Scott Bolton has been suspended for 5 weeks for assaulting a woman in a bar last year. The penalty was half the amount previously proposed. In addition to the suspension, Bolton will talk to players from all clubs about his experience during the Magic Round in Brisbane in May. He will tell others how things can go poorly quickly. This is the most powerful and instructive learning a player will hear, said Greenberg. Topics: Sport, Rugby League, NRL, Courts and Trials, Brookvale 2100, Sydney 2000, New South Wales, Australia. First posted March 1, 2019, 12 hours 16 minutes and 55 seconds.